All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at the PID enclosure wiring here. It probably looks pretty confusing, but let's just, I'm not going to go over detail. You can find a lot of this online. But so I'm going to have a little inlet power here with a switch for my power. So from there, let's just follow the line. So I'm going to go to this little Wagyu connector, and that will power then both my buck converter, because I'm going to need 12 volt to my DC fan here for the blower, and then it's going to power this side of the relay. And so you can see that it's also going to power the PID. So that's another Wagyu there. Let's just continue to follow along. When this switch activates based on the signal from these two lines here, then it'll complete the relay, the circuit, and it'll give power then to the ceramic heater. And you can see the return path then comes through here. I get the return path from the PID goes through here as well, this Wagyu, and then it comes down to the return, which goes back to the outlet, and the buck converter needs a path back. And so that completes that. This has a ground connection on it. The buck converter is actually pretty large size, but I like the connectors on it. And so this is grounded. I don't need to ground it to the enclosure because it's plastic. And so anything that's needs a ground inside, which is the buck converter's only thing, needs to be grounded. Now in terms of DC, you can see I'm going to have a switch. I'm going to actually control the blower fan in the oven on a separate switch. That'll be on the front of the enclosure. And so I've got that going through the switch, and then wire the negative directly to the DC. I decided to help with the wiring is I'm going to put this little K-type connector, female connector, from the PID, and I'll connect to the enclosure, and then from there the thermocouple then will run up through the oven and then come back, and I can plug it into the side of the enclosure. So that's kind of how I'm going to do it. And I've got all these components, and actually so we'll go ahead and get the blade out in the enclosure that I'll 3D print, and then we'll get it all wired up and we'll see how that ends up. All right, so here I'm in FreeCAD, and here's my enclosure, and I've kind of made it large enough so I have some room for the wiring. This is the PID over here. This is the relay with the heatsink. I've got my fan switch over here on the front. Got my power outlet here on the back. And the buck converter right here, of course, and then right here is the K-type connection that'll be on the side. And then I've got these little plugs that I made 3D printed that help with this is where the fan plug-in will come through and hook in here, and then this is the inlet for the connections from the ceramic heater that'll come in through here. So I've kind of laid it out, and it looks like everything should fit and should be pretty good. So I'll get that printed up. I've got all the parts. I just ordered this K-type. I made that last minute design decision, so I should get that tomorrow and be able to install that. But this is just kind of a good layout to just kind of show how everything fits in the box before I print the enclosure. All right, so we've got the PID enclosure box, got it all printed up, and kind of just test fit everything in here and wired up. So you can kind of see down in here, it's kind of laid out the way I showed in the layout on FreeCAD, and I went ahead and wired it, and you can kind of see, so here's my connection for the incoming fan from the oven. This is, like I said, this is where my leads will come in for the ceramic heater. And then there's the switch on the front for the fan switch for here. So, and then big old buck converter, I can get 3 amps, which I'll be lucky if I'm only pulling 0.2 amps from that fan. So anyway, that is everything fits pretty good. Got a nice little lid for it. And so one thing I don't have yet is I'm still waiting for that K-type connector for the thermostat, because those will hook. The thermostat wires will hook in there, and once I get all this in there, I don't have to try to connect it back and forth. And then I've got, this is just waiting for the leads for the ceramic heater there, and then the other one, you can see the incoming here for the other side, the line side of the heater. So kind of did very, kind of used the shrink wrap just to kind of clean everything up. And I really like these Wagyu. That's why I use them. They're just easy. So we should be ready to go. Get the oven, do a, I already did the test run on it, so we know it works. We know the design concept works. So now it's just putting it all together and get up temperature, and should be ready to paint some parts here in the next couple of days. So pretty excited. All right, so this is the PID and the oven all hooked up, getting ready to go. So just kind of showing you all around kind of how I wired it up. I did some further cleaning since this video of the wiring, but overall this is how it all set up. And then of course inside you can see the thermocouple up there in the top left, the fan, the baffle there to the right, and the bar that I hang the parts on, as well as the ceramic heater there on the bottom. So everything's hooked up and ready to go, and we're ready to head over now and do some painting. And just kind of real quick, turn it on, fires up, it's set for 150. In this particular case, I can dry my parts in it after I wash them, which is generally part of the prep process. And just showing you the fan here, blowing that consistent heat in that system. And like I said, it heats up pretty quickly. It only takes 3 to 5 minutes to get within 10 Fahrenheit of the set temperature, and then it's a nice slow rise, 3 to 5 minutes to get to actual temp, and then it holds at plus or minus 1. Pretty impressive. So we're gonna get some parts prepared and do some Cerakoting.